Hey everyone, Couch Investor back to another video for you today. So let's talk about what happened with Tesla this week. It does seem like each and every day there's something else going on with Tesla, good or bad. But before we talk about all of that, just a quick reminder what Tesla's mission actually is. And that is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Just remember that, especially after, all the announcements with price cuts, etc. Remember that this is Tesla's mission. So of course, over time, the prices of the cars, and this is something that we've known for a while, this is something that Elon has repeated a lot over the years. Over the course of the years, the prices of the cars will drop. Of course, with regards to margins, eventually it should stabilize, probably still being the highest in the industry. So let's start off with what happened in China. So of course, there has been some price reductions in China there. And then what happens next? Obviously, we can talk about that for hours, but some people say, oh, there is suddenly a lot of demand. On the other side, there is, people, this is not demand. This is just people complaining because they bought Tesla a couple of days before the price cuts and now they want to get some compensation. Now, of course, there is always this question of what if Tesla raised the prices? Will those people send Tesla extra money? Probably not. So the price cuts here are from 5.7% all the way up to 13.4%. Now, on the positive note, apparently Tesla's China's price cuts causing mass buyers deflection from BYD. So apparently there is someone there at BYD that said, many buyers with reservations came to the store to cancel their orders and transfer to Tesla. The most effective models are the BYD Seal and BYD Han, which compete directly with the Tesla Model 3. Of course, we know that Teslas are priced for, the top half of the price spectrum. So if suddenly the price gets reduced by 15-20% or so with some incentives, etc., suddenly those cars enter a new segment in the price spectrum and start to compete with other automakers that did not compete with Tesla until today. And so if we go and look at Farzad's tweet here, you can now see that after the price cuts with regards to the competition, Tesla Model 3, the standard one, you can see it's the cheapest. It's still $44,000, but it's the cheapest if we compare it to the rest. And then there is Tesla Model 3 Long Range, Model Y Standard, and Model Y Long Range. Yes, the category here is SUV. Now you can see that suddenly way more competitive when it comes to price. And now before we go and have a talk about what has happened more recently in the United States, in Canada, and in Europe, would really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you have not. Would really help out the channel. And if you want to support me and this channel even further, you can check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Let's continue here. So more recently, Tesla has reduced their car prices massively in the United States. So we have Model 3 rear-wheel drive drop of 6.4%, Model 3 performance drop of 14.2%, Model Y long range a 20% drop, and then Model Y performance 23% drop. This also now means that all long-range Model Y qualify for the new $7,500 EV tax credit. The 7-seater Model Y option is also now $4,000, up from $3,000. And apparently there has been a mistake here, so the Model Y performance is an 18.6% drop and not a 23% drop. But, of course, a lot of people suddenly went on Twitter and said, oh, the thesis is broken, margins will come down, multiple will come down, etc., etc. But these prices, almost all of them are still higher than 2021. We have here, I screenshotted a fragment of Tesla's Daily's video. So you can clearly see here that almost all vehicles that changed since 2021, they are still higher today. The price is still higher, whether it's 16%, 6%, 19%, or even 22%. So, of course, the price is down from last year, but if we go back 2 years, it's still higher. And you know what else? Production costs have come down, Commodity prices have probably come down as well, maybe not as much today as we will see in the coming quarters, but probably enough to justify such cuts right now that won't hurt margins as bad as expected. And also, in the current difficult global auto market, let's say, where the demand globally has come down, Tesla right now is doing not a defensive move, but it's an aggressive move, because if Tesla, which again, leading margins here, yeah, they have the luxury to cut prices. What happens to companies where their profit margins, their gross margins aren't that high and they still want to compete? Of course, they have to compete with their ICE vehicles and they also have to compete with their EV vehicles. So, what happens when they want to compete and they suddenly have to cut their prices? Well, their gross margins and their profits will come down even more. And so while some might see this as a defensive move for Tesla because there's no demand, etc., Elon Musk himself had said, we are going for growth, gross margins in the short term will get hit, but they're here to take more market share. What better way to do that than to let people buy their cars for less money, even though the cars today are still more expensive than they were 2 years ago. Up next, Tesla has reduced their car prices in Germany. And so to have a better overview, there is this chart right here. So in Norway, we have some price cuts there as well for Model 3 and Model Y. As you can see here, they range from just under 2% to over 23%. Same can be said for Germany, France, Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. All of these markets have seen some price cuts. Now, I'm sure other markets have seen some price cuts as well. In Europe, I believe in Belgium, there were some price cuts as well. So if you're one of these countries in Europe that I didn't mention, do let me know down in the comments below. Now, again, the questions and the doubts arise because of these price cuts, especially in Europe, because we all know the headlines, Tesla is losing market share in Europe. Well, let's have a look at that right here. So there is this huge thread here from Tavi. I'm not going to look at all the thread, but I'm going to make a separate video about Tesla in Europe in the next coming days. So in Germany and the UK, Europe's largest auto market, Tesla's shares of new car sales went up in 22 by, in Germany, 74.2% and in the UK, 59.9%, which you can clearly see right here. I'll put both of these graphs one next to the other. You can clearly see that in 2022, some car makers are losing market share. And just an FYI, the European car market since 2019 has contracted by 30%. So, you know what might happen in a couple of years' time, not that far away from today. You know this graph right here? The valley of death. There will come a time where demand will just be so high, but there is just no supply anymore. And another FYI, usually when someone gains market share, another one loses market share, and that's fine in a growing market. But when the overall market is becoming smaller and you're losing market share in that market to a competitor, you're not just losing market share, you're probably losing millions, if not billions, in revenue. And that, my friends, is when we can start talking about the downfall of legacy automakers. But again, that's a story for another day. Going back to Tesla news here. So we've had some multiple reports this week with regards to Indonesia. So apparently here on Reuters, Tesla nears deal to build production facilities in Indonesia. We had this report come out a couple of days ago to what Elon then answered on a tweet here. Please be cautious about writing articles citing unnamed sources as they are frequently false. He did not deny anything. He just said, well, please be cautious. But apparently Indonesia's senior cabinet minister, I'm not going to butcher his name here, who has been leading the talks with Tesla, said negotiations were still ongoing, but declined to say more, citing a non-disclosure agreement. So let's see what happens next. Of course, we're all awaiting those announcements of new Gigafactory locations. Let's see if we can get some more information during the earnings call, if not during that event in March. Now, talking about locations, obviously China comes to mind. So Tesla China plant expansion in doubt. Why is that? The country is becoming increasingly concerned about Starlink's data security. We've had this story already back in the past with Tesla's data. So they built a data center basically in China. Let's see how they resolve this issue. Then some more good news. So Tesla Model 3 tops Canada IZEV incentives list in 2022, even though it wasn't eligible for the entire year. So the Model 3 was the most popular electric vehicle in Canada in 2022. The rear-wheel drive model had more than double the sales of the next closest competitor, at least among those that qualify for the federal IZEV incentive, even though it wasn't eligible for the entirety of 2022. And then for those that missed it, Tesla snatches 2022 US luxury sales crown from BMW, and this is great news for an American automaker because it's the first American automaker in nearly a quarter century to take the top spot in the US luxury market. So congratulations again to the Tesla team. And then to close it all out, again, because demand is such an issue for Tesla, Model Y was the best-selling EV in Austria, Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, Norway, Portugal, Slovenia, and the UK in 2022. It was also the best-selling car in Iceland and Norway. Of course, the headlines say Tesla has issues in Europe, there's no demand, so of course we have to believe it. But, interesting, pretty contradicting here. And so that's all the news I've got for you with regards to Tesla this week. Obviously, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. 2023 is going to be an interesting year, especially if we go into a recession. Let's see what happens. Certainly, the global market for cars is slowing down. The demand is slowing down. So yes, we might see some struggles with regards to margin. It's to be expected, to be honest. I'm more interested to see what actually happens with the energy side of the business, which is something rarely someone talks about that, but right now it's all speculation because from what we've seen in the past, Tesla Energy right now, when it comes to gross margin, not that great. Of course, we know that the Megapacks are sold out until late 2024, but I do want to see numbers on the paper. Let's wait and see until the end of January. I believe most of our questions will get answered during the earnings call, and if not, maybe in March during that event. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.